Hi, this is Robert Polenick, the owner of Brutal Iron Works. In this video, we'd like to go over the treatments for the posterior chain, which is basically the back side of the body. So what we're going to look for is, before we put any weight on the person, we've already went through the initial assessment where we've asked them if they've had any previous injuries. And again, the benefit of that is if they've had any spinal injuries, we'll know instead of putting heavy weight on there, we might find a different treatment, or we might need to start with a lighter weight. So once you know their injury history for the posterior chain or the area you're going to be treating, you can then go into the next steps. And the first step you want to do is actually palpation. You want to use your hands and you want to get a feel of the areas that you're going to treat. The reason for this is that you can check and see if there's muscular imbalances in that area. So for example, one common case would be in larger males. You might find that there's an imbalance between the left side versus the right side of the body. So if they're a little thicker on the left side, when you put the implement on them, you would feel that feeling offset. You would feel that the left side is higher. Well, if you palpate first, you'll know that that's a natural occurrence. If you didn't, you might press hard on the left side to try to correct that when it's actually a natural thing. So the other reason why you can feel and you use palpation is to get an idea of the depth of treatment that's needed. So if they're very loose in an area and they don't feel very tight, you probably don't need to spend a lot of time there. However, if they do feel very tight in a certain area, you can put in more pressure and more time to try to work loose that tightness. So the first area we want to actually palpate when we're looking at the back side of the body is going to be along their spine. So I usually start with my thumbs, and I'll start in the upper back area around the top of the shoulder blades, and I'll do little circular motions working down their back. And what that does, it gives me a chance to feel, again, that muscular balance from side to side, and I can check and make sure that their discs are all in alignment. So you're just getting familiar with their body. So once you've palpated the upper back and the lower back, you can then move on to the hamstrings. And again, what you're trying to feel is if there's differences from side to side. So once you use your hands and you get a feel of the area, we would then move on to their calves. So once we've felt all three areas, so we have the back, the hamstrings, and the calves, what that's going to do is it's now going to let you know when you're doing the treatment if there's anything you need to work around. So in this video, I'm going to be using our medium roller, and we're going to go ahead and start on the top of the hamstrings. So the reason why we would start with this area in the kinetic chain is that this tends to have the most musculature, so it's going to be the easiest, most comfortable start into the treatments for the client. So I will apply the pressure and the weight, and I'm going to work up and down, kind of in small 1 to 2 inch increments, just rolling back and forth, about 2 or 3 rolls in each height. So we're just going to go back and forth. We'll go up and down the belly of the muscle. And in general, you can do 2 or 3 passes along the muscle. And again, if you know that they're tighter in one spot versus another, you can spend more time in that tighter area. Once you've treated the hamstrings, we would then move the weights up. And we would actually start in their mid-back. So you'll tell them that the weight's coming. You let it on lightly. Then you want to go ahead and do the same thing. Just move it up and down, 1 to 2 inches at a time, working your way down their back. And you'll feel where the hips come into play. You want to stay right above those 2 bony protrusions of the hips. Make sure you're staying in the muscle tissue. So once you've done 2 or 3 passes over the whole area, and again you can spend more time in areas that felt the tightest, you would then bring it down and you would work on their calves. So you'd start in the back side of the knee, which is safe and it's okay to do. There's enough tissue, muscle tissue of the calf and the hamstring, that can cushion that area. You would then again do 1 to 2 inch passes back and forth over top of the muscular area, just trying to get that muscle to relax and loosen. Okay, so that is the treatments for the posterior chain. Use your hands, get a feel of the areas, see if there's any muscular imbalances. And you can also see if there's any difference between the tightness in the different areas. You would start with the hamstrings, go through the mid-back to lower back, and then work on the calves. Okay, thank you.